Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. This is Marnie Batista from Dating with Dignity, and I am so excited that you are here to learn from my brilliant, talented, gorgeous friend and colleague, Patty Contenta. Welcome, Patty, to my tribe, to my world.
Hi, it's great to be here, Marnie.
We have taught a lot of different things together, and you even participated in a workshop that I did, a retreat, and you are one of the people that when I refer my clients and my people to sensualitysecrets.com, they do the techniques and the strategies that you teach, and they literally call me and they're like, oh my God, it totally worked. It was amazing. It's a miracle.
That's awesome.
And these are women that are like usually shy or don't usually feel uncomfortable being even around the word sensuality. So when you approached me about delivering this to my tribe, to my people, I was more than thrilled to bring more of your content. So with that, everyone, I invite you to take notes and listen and really be treated. Patty is an expert at sensuality. She's a dancer. She's a trainer. She's a sensuality maven. And I'm going to take notes myself. And with that, I'll just turn it over to you, Patty.
Great. Thank you, Marnie. Oh, this is great. I'm really excited to be here with your tribe, especially because it's my first time actually presenting this webinar system, if you will, of bless your way to natural confidence. You know, I'm really doing this because I want to touch a lot of people's lives with the gift that was given to me, and with this modality, with the sort of presentation, it's a great way to really emphasize some of the things that I'm talking about. And so just imagining it might not be enough, but now actually seeing it on the screen is a cool way to sort of share some of my success stories with some of my own clients, and then hopefully your tribe will love it and want to be friends with me too. So I'm excited about that. And what we have, so good. So we'll have about an hour together.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Cool. We have about an hour together, so I'm going to share as much information as possible while keeping things on time. And I'm also going to share with you some case studies of women and a man, you know, who've experienced specific benefits from applying some of my body language techniques. And you should know that, by the way, this system really came by default almost, and I'll be referring to it a couple of times. I'll go back to that situation where it kind of reminded me when I was in a place most recently, sort of exhausted and running around too much, and really getting into, that's it, I need to get back into my own game, and sort of created this B.L.E.S.S moment. And from that moment on, was sort of excited and said, I want to share this to a few other people. So cool. And we're going to go right into a little bit, the whole purpose of this webinar really is that to provide you with some tools that'll give you sort of that magnetic look that'll make you stand out and be more radiant, and as you can see, to really feel free in your body. That's really the exciting part about being a sensual woman, so that we're here to really learn how to build our confidence muscle, so that in those moments when you're feeling kind of stuck or invisible or not enough, that you have some of these tips that I'll be sharing with you to kind of help you shift your perspective and feel beautiful and sexy. Because when you can connect your body and your spirit and stand in that feminine essence, you know, your vibe will change, and that energy is contagious. And that's what I'm hoping these sort of techniques will help you very easily tap into. So I'd like to actually start right away with sharing one of my first case studies from a man. His name was Jason, and he says here, "Hi, Patty. I thought you might be interested in knowing how your book has helped me. I start from the beginning. I originally heard you on Cliff's List Convention DVD. Your segment somehow stuck in my head. I never really understood exactly why I found some women more attractive, even though they weren't as pretty. Now I have a better idea, thanks to you. I've only read your book once, last night, and it is apparent that many women do not move very elegantly. Anyways, back to my point. I sculpt figures in clay, about 12 inches tall, mostly female forms. I believe that sculpting the female form is more difficult than males. To sculpt a woman requires more subtlety and delicacy to project what you call sensuality. With the aid of your writings, I can now fine-tune my sculptures to project sexiness without being vulgar. I will definitely pay even more attention to the placement of the hips, the shoulders, and the neck now. It's funny how I watch the DVDs to better understand how to attract women, and I learned how to build them instead. Thanks a lot, Jason. And when I read this, I really thought it was amazing, because here I am doing this work for women, and there's a guy that really, the benefit of this is he adjusted his perspective of what beauty is because of what I wrote. And so, even though this is secrets for women, the beauty of this is the men who are actually, hopefully there's some men listening, and if you are, the great thing is you'll actually learn to look at women differently, with a different lens. And I think that's cool for men to understand a little bit more. All right, so now we're going to go a little bit into my journey. I know Marnie mentioned it really briefly, so I'll just help you understand where all of this has come from. My body language tools really do come from 20 years of being a ballroom dancing, in the ballroom dancing business. And both as a competitive dancer and teacher, I spent countless hours in front of full-length mirrors studying the angles of my body to really create an alluring and enticing look. Because, the judges wanted to see a woman that was sensuous, that created mystery, and not a sexual woman that left nothing to the imagination. And so I wasn't like the thinnest or the most flexible dancer on the floor, but I learned the techniques to move my body and using its natural curves to really like evoke a sensuous appeal. That was my signature on the dance floor. And as a dance coach, I spent years teaching men and women, and it's given me a lot of insights on the manner in teaching different genders, how do they approach problem solving, how they deal with their emotions, how they project their physical presence on the dance floor and off the dance floor. So I was able to really create a systematic approach to dancing for both men and women, so that they were easily able to understand and apply techniques so that they can instantly feel the magic of dancing while they were in their arms. And then this was exciting on the dance floor. And now that my professional life was really beginning to gain momentum, my personal life was really falling apart. And this work really became important to me because I was going through my divorce. I was trying to recuperate from dealing with the reality that my ex-husband had been cheating on me for 18 months. And I completely lost all self-confidence and a sense of being a sensual woman. And I realized to kind of gain my self-worth back, I needed to merge that woman that I was on the dance floor that you see there in the picture with the woman that I am off the dance floor. And so I really went on this journey to apply the techniques that I learned in my dancing as a competitive dancer and in my teaching, and say, I know I feel like crap right now because right now I don't feel like the most sensual woman. My husband has just cheated on me, and I needed everything that I could muster to try to feel sexy again. And I noticed as I kind of pretended, just like at times I do when I'm on the dance floor, I started to gain my confidence back. And I started to get noticed again. I felt visible one more time, and it was amazing that just by kind of pretending, even if I didn't feel that way, I started to love my body and myself again. So, and I'm sharing this with you. It's not to say that therapy isn't important when you're going through some trauma in your life. Excuse me. I actually think that some sort of therapy in conjunction with many other things is important. I know I did that when I was going through my divorce. But I also knew that I needed my body to pull me through it, because I'm a very kinesthetic learner, and I'm so connected with my body that I didn't want to get stuck in this cocoon in my own home and being, insecure about going out there again. So by doing all this sort of sensual, feminine, flirting style and movement, I really began to feel visible again. And then it was great because joy started to come back into my life. So now after explaining a little bit of my journey very quickly, we can go into diving into the content. I also want everybody to know that's listening in some logistics, that if you do have questions, we will have at one point some time near the end that I'll be able to take in some questions. You can actually write them in the chat of the webinar if you'd like, and my assistant Randy will be able to sort of collect them all and present them to me when it's time. So we'll save them to the end just so that we can keep the flow going. All right, so we are off. We're going to start with the first thing that is really necessary to understand, that in today's world, there's more of a challenge for women because the work field really demands us to be in our masculine energy. We're constantly giving, strategizing, and checking off our to-do list that we never really nurture our feminine energy, which is all about receiving, collaborating, elevating the senses, and flowing. This is not to say that being in our masculine energy is a bad thing, because it's a necessary thing. Without it, we don't get things done. I mean, we need that direction. But we also need to nurture our feminine. And if we were only stayed in our feminine, we probably wouldn't get anything done. Just receiving and feeling things and chatting, all this is wonderful. But we need to be able to tap into that on a regular basis because we spend most of our day in our masculine. So, the reality is that we're going to use some of these tools today so that throughout your day, you actually have moments that you can say, okay, I'm feeling a little stressed out, I'm struggling, I'm feeling undesirable, I'm feeling alone, or I'm really feeling frustrated. It's time to get into my body and tap into my feminine essence. And your body can't help but feel better, because when you put yourself in a physical state, the emotional state will follow. And so that's why it's really important to use this type of work to sort of instantly change how you feel. It's not like it's the only thing that you need, but it will help you get there a little faster. I know for me it was tremendous. So, and one of the concerns that a lot of women have that always ask me is, I don't want to show up sexual. I want to make sure I'm sensual. And what's the difference? And I really don't want to show up vulgar. And they're very much concerned about that. So the first thing I want to do is actually discuss the difference between sensuality and sexuality. And then later, Marnie, if you'd like, you can maybe step in if you have something to say about that. But for me, sexuality is about exploring sex behind closed doors, kind of allowing yourself to let go and abandon with your partner in the privacy in your own home. And that's a beautiful thing, and it's a necessary thing. And then we have sensuality. And sensuality is about shining your feminine light in a subtle way for the world to see. It's a feminine softness that really creates an inviting environment. And this fear of looking sexual or trashy is such a major concern for women that, because we've been raised to be these good girls and to not invite attention. So we're struggling with our old-fashioned values, while trying to create new beliefs. So, I do want to talk about this slide, but I don't know if you have anything to add there, Marnie, if you've come across that with your tribe, that women describe that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so ironic because just yesterday on a coaching session, someone asked me the question between sensuality and sexuality. And she realized that she has been playing the sexuality card, and that is why she wasn't attracting the men that she really felt comfortable with or that were looking for long-term relationships. So we really talked about being in your feminine, and that leaving something to the imagination and to really being aware of your sensuality is very alluring. And once I explained it, she was like, I can do that. I totally have that. Yeah. I do have that. So yeah, I'm so glad you addressed that.
Good. So now if we look on the slide here, I mean, this is quite obvious, but I'm going to explain the key things that you'll see, and I'll show two normal looking women after that, and the difference. There's really two things that you need to remember that I learned in dancing that I needed to always make sure I did in order to maintain a sensuous mystery to my dancing. And rule number one was stay away from the hot zones, which means anything. I'm pointing right here to the center. You can see my cursor here. The hot zone is the breast area, the crotch area, the inner thighs. So if you're going to touch any part of your body in your nonverbal, this is what you kind of want to stay away from. All right, it seems pretty obvious, but with some of the things I'm going to tell you when it comes to self-touch, you know, just stay away from the hot zone. And then number two would be really is this other section is never open your legs. So in our dancing, we could squirm, we could twist, but we had to do that with our legs closed, never with our legs open, because the moment we open our legs, this is where we're going to look. So, you know, the woman to the left here is more of a sensual pose because her legs are together, because she is touching the outside of her body. She is creating a curve. So is she, but because her hands are in a position that's much more in the hot zone section, it'll come across more sexual than this woman. So again, this is, you know, this is not the position where you're going to be when you're dating, but you can even see this in a situation in your bedroom if you want to sort of tease your man, perhaps in that situation where you're actually together. You know, you can be sensuous and work your way towards this part, but this is a fun way to kind of get started. Now, if I go to the next screen, you'll see a woman that's actually a woman, but to me shows perhaps a little bit different appeal. One, of course, if you look to the right, her shirt, you know, is see-through. So regardless of the shirt, you don't need to go to that point, but if she was wearing a full opaque shirt where you wouldn't see the bra, the thing that she's doing here is her hands are actually pointed in the direction that you want us to look, which is the inner thigh and the crotch area. And then her legs are apart, which is inviting attention to the middle part of her body. And to the left, this is more sensual because her legs are closed. You could actually see that, you can't see it too well, but you could imagine that the front leg here is actually covering her standing leg. And her arm is going to be touching the outside of the thigh. You know, granted here she's holding her sweater, her blouse, what you can see there, but she could be touching her hair, whatever it may be, but she's not really touching her breast. It may look that, but my feeling is she's touching her shirt there. So I don't know if you can see the difference here. It's very subtle, but it's enough to hear, you know, show a little bit more of a seductive look. I mean, even her chin is dropped more forward compared to here, where her head is tilted back and she's exposing sort of a vulnerable part of her body, which is her neck area. So, you know, the one on the left looks more sensuous, a little bit more mysterious, and the one on the right less. It's a little bit more seductive. Do you see the difference there, Marnie?
Oh my gosh, totally. And I was just thinking that this whole style with the girl with the see-through shirt,
Yeah.
it's actually like, this is in style. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, it's like, and it's not like club wear, right? Like
Right.
women, young women especially, would wear this. And so what's interesting is that it's not sensual. It is more sexual, especially with
Right.
the low-rise jeans and everything. But this
Right.
other woman has got like the low V. Like, it's very it's sexy, but what you're saying is it's more seductive. It's more
Right.
luring.
Right.
I
It's
love
it's
it.
more subtle. There's some things left to the imagination. So, and I'm just sharing this with you. Okay, now the clothes are obviously the big obvious part, but I wanted to use kind of the same woman, but just to show, even if she was wearing the same exact outfit, I wish we could
Yep.
picture that, but
Yep.
because her legs are open and her hands are pointed in that place, it can still come across more confrontational and dominatrix like compared to, you know, soft, inviting, right? So
Yeah, no, it's really, really dramatic. And I love that you pointed out that piece of that her neck is showing. I did a dating den with Christian a couple months ago, and he was saying that one of the most sensual spots on a woman is that part right there, her neck.
Mhm.
He's like, whenever a woman puts her hand even near there, I like sort of have to refocus.
Absolutely. And I often talk about that, and I'll be sharing that with my self-touch, is those vulnerable areas. Again, that's not really the hot zone. The hot zone is here. The hot zone is there. It's the inner thigh. So, you know, by just gently touching your clavicle bone, it is sensuous. And see this other look, I mean, to me, it's just completely different. So, you know, you can tell this has a different intention, even if you were wearing the same outfit. So cool. I'm glad you can see that. And now, if we go to our next slide, which is our case study, and I want to share this with you because this woman, Janice, she's a lot of fun. It's actually not the woman on the slide, but it reminds me of her energy because when you'll hear this, you'll understand what I mean. She said, "Hi, Patty. I watched all of the DVDs and I love them. I've been putting into practice my new stances and love how I feel and the attention I receive. I feel so much more confident and in touch with my femininity. Also, I love the new attention I've been receiving. Men have been opening the doors for me, and so many men and women have been saying hi to me. And all of this happened, doors opening. All of this opened doors of communication with me. So she noticed that even the way people communicate with her is different, not just men and women. And she said, also more info. My husband always wanted me to improve my walk. He said I needed to learn to walk like a woman. He told me some women have it and some don't. He used to try to show me how to do it, but I just could never understand. And now I walk differently, and he loves the way I walk, and he feels that I'm a new woman. Previously, I used to walk fast while swinging my arms with energy. Now I swing my hips, and I just let it flow. Already this morning, 3 men, separate men, approached me and stopped me in my walk. And one woman also looked at me and smiled and said, hi. I didn't even know her. I feel so much more like a woman and so much more in touch with my femininity. I have slowed down my walk and my speech, and I feel so much more in touch with myself and my environment. I'm having a great time, and guess what? I'm 60 years old. Although I've been blessed with a great body, which I work at and keep myself slim and toned up, nature has been kind to me with my looks. Also, I forgot to mention that in my last email, I'm employed by a huge corporation. During the day, it is necessary to walk from department to department or go from the cafeteria or to the restroom. Needless to say, lots of walking to get to where I need to go. So there are long hallways to get to the cafeteria and other departments. So needless to say, once again, people are always watching me and checking me out. And prior to seeing your DVDs, people used to actually look at me funny and poke one another and snicker. I used to go home crying and say, I just don't know how to walk. What's wrong with me? So now a whole new response. Wow, men are mesmerized. Women just look. Men smile. Men open doors. Men become men. I have become feminine and sensual. I'm so impressed with myself. I do have to remind myself at times, but I'm loving it all along. So thank you very much for sharing these techniques, Janice. So, I really thought this was cool because here's a woman that's married, and you think that, why does she even need these DVDs and how to be aware of your body language. And it's not just about flirting or picking up men. It's really about yourself and showing up as the best version of yourself. She felt lost, and with the DVDs and learning this, she was able to feel full and to have her husband reap the rewards, of this happier woman. So all this to say that as much as we're also doing it because we love men's attention, it's also for ourselves. We like to be validated and appreciated and noticed by everybody, and to be more open so that more people are likely to say, hey, you're a cool person and I want to hang out with you. So the body language kind of makes you, be more visible, and people will notice you more. It's a great kind of feeling to carry with you all day long. So we're going to go right into the first step of the B.L.E.S.S Your Way to Natural Confidence system. So we're going to start with the B. So the B is, as you see here, it's about breathing. And this acronym, when I came up with it at the airport, I just have to share with you this story. I've been spending this past year traveling quite a bit. I was gone at least once a month, 1 week at a time, if not 2, and literally living in and out of suitcases. And I remember feeling really frustrated and said, God, I'm just tired of this, and just getting that moment where I was stuck and frustrated, and I kind of smacked myself in the head and said, listen, it's time you practice what you preach, Patty. It's enough already. Yes, you're in an airport, but who cares? You're going to start doing this so that you let's see if your stuff really works, even in an airport. And let me tell you, that was the best time of my life, because there was 3 different incidences with 3 different men, just because I made a conscious decision to really use my own stuff. And I was obviously vibrating a different energy because I became conscious about it. So the first thing I did was about breathing. And we do this a lot in dancing because breathing really gets you grounded and helps to release a lot of stress. The calming effect of breathing allows you to get more connected with your body and relax your mind. So it's a lot easier to access your feminine energy this way, because most of the time when we're in our heads, we have a lot of upper body tension, our shoulders, our necks, because we're thinking about the next thing to do. And so when we breathe from this space, there's a shallow, sort of tighter breathing. Even as I'm speaking right now, sometimes I'm getting more excited, so I can see I'm much more in my head. So if I actually consciously, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to actually breathe from my diaphragm, and I put my hand on my stomach a little bit just to remind me it's all good. I know this is my first webinar, no big deal. I know you're a little excited and a little nervous, and I can get a little fast. So I slow down my breathing, and instantly different muscles are being used, and it's easier to be connected with the body just because I slowed down the breathing. And I'll tell you, um, this was really important to me as a competitive dancer, because I don't know if you've ever watched dance competitions, but right before you go onto a dance floor, there's a lineup of dancers that are, one couple behind the other, getting ready to be announced, or your number to be called to walk onto the floor. And that's like the scariest time, because you're walking into the moment of truth where all the crowd of hundreds of people are watching you and the judges are watching you. So I know I need to really make sure I take my slow, deep breaths to really get connected into my body, because I know I'm being assessed the moment I walk on. And because that walk needs to not be, over the top supermodel like, where it's arrogant and full of myself. And that's not what the judges wanted to see. And it couldn't look insecure where I didn't feel good about myself. There need to be that wonderful balance of confidence and humility in my art, to say, I really do hope you enjoy what I'm about to share with you, but I love what I'm about to share with you, and hopefully you'll love it too. So it was really important, the breathing, to stabilize my nerves a little bit. And if I go to back to the airport story, I remember I had just finished passing the customs, and I was rushing to get to the gate because I wasn't sure if I would make it before they call us all in. And I was fine, so I reached there and I was fine. And I didn't want to even sit down. I just could have stood there. And I said, you're going to stand off to the side a little bit near the wall, and you're just going to breathe. Because I noticed as I was breathing, wow, there's a lot of men in airports, and I've been missing out on this on this moment to be flirtatious and playful with all these men and people. So I was really doing some slow breathing to just get me grounded and into my body, because at this point I was kind of running and a little bit in a rush to get to the place of arriving to my gate on time. So breathing is really necessary. As I said, it really grounds you instantly. It gets you from out of your head and out of your shoulders and right away into the lower part of your body, which is necessary. And I remember when I used to teach dancing, I would physically put my hands on a man's shoulders and really go, like smack my arms on his shoulders. I mean, gently, and push down to say, listen, you're so much in your head, I need to ground you. So by me touching him for that moment and say, before we even dance, I'm going to sort of ground you right now, because I could see you're in your head and you're in the wrong space to be present in this moment through movement. And it would always help them, because that's where we are as human beings. We tend to be caught up in our thoughts. And when we do that, we cannot, as women, really use our body to tap into our feminine essence. So breathing, really important. All right. Then the next thing is lean back. Now, this is really one of my favorite things to do and extremely important, because I don't know if you've ever noticed this, Marnie, or anybody who's listening, those people who are less stressed and have a calmness to their stature. There's kind of like a serene presence that really there's no need to rush. Yes, yet a certain, a certainty in their demeanor that still remains. And it feels like you know from like the deepest place in your heart that you're actually where you should be. And it's amazing when you stand in this quiet truth for yourself, and no one can really challenge that. It's a powerful place to be. And to me, when I lean back in my physical stance, it feels like there's this calm bubble of pleasure in this chaotic world that we live in, where everybody is kind of multitasking and distracted or needing something. That the moment I lean back in my energy, it provides a sort of innocent, unsuspecting space in my presence, much more welcoming. And you can see that a little bit in the picture that I'm doing, and I'm actually using the the sort of doors behind me to lean up against. And I really did this at the airport, because in that moment, right after I was breathing, I said, okay, I now want to lean back and use my wall as my way to kind of rest and just allow myself to be here, and create a more welcoming space. Because when it comes to nonverbal communication, when one leans forward, there's much more of a confrontation. It's very much more outcome oriented, even much more masculine. And it feels more rigid, even stiff, like there's less room for communication. And in the lean back, there's a more welcoming and more feminine energy. It feels softer, almost like we used to use this in dancing a lot. You want to be able to melt the ice that's been built up around you. And the moment you lean back, that ice slowly starts to melt, and you start to show up as you are. And the moment you lean forward, if you even do this, those of you who are listening or standing, you just lean forward, the energy is different, and it feels like there's a wall that comes up. But if I lean back, the ice can melt. And you can see here in my next slide, you'll see the difference here. And it's very subtle, but let me explain to you what I see. The woman on the left has more of a forward lean, because you can sense, I can see, especially from this arm on the left here, and her shoulder is kind of forward, and there's a forward pitch to her body, even though she's actually bending one knee a little bit more, and she's trying to show this curve. And if she would have accentuated that a little bit more, it would have been nicer. But there is a forward lean, and that's why there's an awkwardness or stiffness to her body language. I don't know if you can see that, Marnie, but there is more of a, it's okay, she's sweet, but there's a bit of a stiffness. Compared to the woman on the right, there's much more of a lean back, a relaxed, welcoming, appeal to her. She even, again, as soon as you lean back, naturally your neck wants to be exposed. You know, she's holding her purse there on her hip, which has more of a curve. If you were to take out the purse, you'd actually see there's a stronger curve than the woman on the left has. And, you know, she's literally leaning against this sort of wall here to really show a relaxed attitude about herself. Now, you don't need to lean against anything to really do that, but still you can see how one is more welcoming and it's more inviting. And here, it's not that she's not sweet. I mean, you know, she's smiling, which is nice, but if she were to lean back, her hair would fall differently, and literally her shoulders would not be so forward. They would actually be more relaxed and back. I don't know if you can see that, Marnie, if you want to add to that. Or
Yeah, I was laughing to myself because I just had this photo shoot that didn't go very well, because I wish you would have been there.
Mm.
And I think in all of them, I was totally in this like uncomfortable sort of like, how do I stand? And they kept saying, you know, be your sexy self. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. And what it would have been helpful to hear is like, lean back,
Yeah,
relax, right? So
totally.
I love this. And the other thing that it reminds me of is when you go out, when you're single, you know, and you're standing in the bar or the restaurant or the gallery, and you're in that like lean forward, awkward sort of I don't know how to stand mode, it's definitely not warm and welcoming. So this easy breezy is way more inviting. It's like says, come to me, instead of like, I'm here.
Yeah, and you know, you bring up, that's a great point that you brought up, because when I was first putting this together, my girlfriends and I had gone, I was teaching this to my girlfriends, and we had gone to a bar, and we literally, you know, I said, listen, we're going to go to the bar, and you're going to turn your body diagonally, and you're going to put your arm or elbow against the bar and lean into it like this is your couch, like your bar and you are one, you know, like, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea of just
Yeah.
saying, okay. This is a playful playground. So if you want to have, come in and join me, and I'm open to start up a conversation with you instead of completely the other way. As soon as you lean too upright and too forward, it's completely changed energy. So it's really, really important. I mean, this is even when you're having a conversation one-on-one with someone, lean back and listen. There's a different opening to the conversation when you can sit back in the energy, and ultimately it's just more sensuous. Like there's a softness to the woman to the right. Like she just looks so soft, and I want to go up to her. And the girl to the left, it's not like there's anything bad, but you can see that there's a stiffness, there's an awkwardness about her. So she's just kind of posing there because she needs to, compared to the one on the right.
Right.
You know? And
Yeah.
and
Really
and
good
men
advice. I love it.
right, right. So men can't quite figure it out, but they can feel something energetically, So this is a really cool way of looking at the two different perspectives. Now, granted, the woman on the right looks like she probably is a model and experienced with that, but this is what models do. This is what dancers do. We know that. We know that we want to draw you in, and this is what we do. So cool. So that's for the lean back. And when you do this and you're people watching, it's great because you do this and you smile a bit as you people watch, like I was doing at the airport, and I was scanning the area and watching to see who's the guy I'm going to try to invite a little closer, And then you do that with eye contact. This is the next one that we're going into. So what's cool with eye contact, we've all heard that proverb that the eyes are the window to your soul. They seem to have a direct line to our desires and our emotions and our feelings. So it's really crucial when it comes to relating with people. Eye contact has the power to make someone feel understood, safe, connected more deeply, like no one else exists in the room. So this manner of nonverbal communication is really essential in connecting, this eye gazing. And it's really evident when I used to dance. There was a time when my partner and I were dancing, and I sensed, he's just not looking at me. I don't know what it is, but I felt disconnected with him. And my coach literally stopped our dancing, and he looked at my partner, and he says to him, Martin, all she wants you to do is look into her eyes. Then she'll melt. And that almost brought me to tears. It's because after everything that we were trying to figure out, he just understood in that moment, if you would just look at her, she'll change. She'll open up to you differently. She'll get out of her head and into her body more. And she'll even attempt that whole wonderful, seductive, playful way of dancing because she can see you're admiring her. So granted, this was a man looking at me, but this goes the same thing for women. People in general want to know that you are appreciating who they are, that you accept their uniqueness, that you want to know what makes them tick. And eye contact really provides that. And today more than ever, we're in a society again with the whole multitasking. Everybody's on their Blackberries or your iPads or laptops, and they rarely take the time to look around and notice. And I find sometimes it develops this darting in their eyes. I see it even in my students in the dance studio. It's like they have a hard time just keeping their eyes still. So that's why physical touch really helps, especially when it comes to dancing. You're like, okay, you're with me, be right here in this moment, because we've been practicing to not pay attention because we're doing too many things at once. So that's why even when it comes to dating or meeting someone, or if you're in a situation in a public area, like I was at the airport, I really needed to give an extended eye contact and at least 3 to really make sure that, did he catch the first one and did he catch the second one? And I'll give him another one just to really make sure that he knows that I'm open and willing to receive a conversation with you. And you have to keep it long enough to say, I see you. Do you see me? And then you could turn away a little bit, and then you do it again. You tilt your head a little bit, and you go, I see you. Do you see me? So eye contact is really important. One, to really let the guy know it's okay to approach me. Because let me tell you, a lot of guys, worry about being rejected flat out. If a woman, if he does come forward, I don't know if she's into me, I'm not sure. Is she? I don't know. They wanna see the clues, and eye contact is the first thing that definitely can draw the man in. And then, so that's the thing about looking into a man and looking long enough so that he sees that you saw him, sees that you saw him, that he sees that you noticed him, okay? And longer than we're comfortable or that we're used to. And at least 3, guys have told me this. I need to get up to 3, and then I'll know she's ready for the approach. And the other thing to the right, the last woman that you see here, we use this a lot in dancing, where your eyes are like high beams, excuse me, and they bring attention to what you want someone to look at. And we use this a lot in dancing when I would be, touching my body and kind of moving around. When my eyes would look towards my hand, just like this woman is doing, and wherever my hand was placed, the judges or the audience had to look there, because I'm telling them, just in case you haven't noticed, I have this really sexy shoulder and it has a little bit of an itch and I'm going to touch it. So what's funny about that is you can be looking at the guy and then you can be gently caressing your shoulder, and then if you look towards it because you have a little extra pleasure in looking at your shoulder, and then look back at him and tilt your head. There's something fun and playful about that. And he doesn't know what hit him, and it's that wonderful softness again that makes the man sort of naturally be compelled and captivated by you. So those are the different ways of using eye contact. It's one, to really be able to maintain a longer contact with someone that you're with, so that the idea is that we're trying to melt each other's ice from the long day that we've all had. 2, keep it long enough if you're trying to get attention from someone that you don't know. You want to keep it long enough where you can say a sentence like, I see you, do you see me? And at least 3 times. Give yourself some time in between each to really make sure that he gets, oh my God, I think she's looking at me and noticing me. And finally, the last way of using eye contact, if you are in a date or with someone that you're even currently with, and you want to be flirtatious and playful, and you're kind of caressing any part of your arm, if you just look at it, he'll be compelled to want to look at what you're touching, and it'll make him notice whatever you're doing that much more, and definitely be attracted to that. Cool? So that's the eye contact situation. I'd like to share with you another case study of another woman that wrote to me about her experience while she was in New York City. Her name is Sunny. She said, I was in New Jersey on a business trip and spent an evening in New York City. Well, it just so happened I'd been reading your book on the plane on my way to New Jersey a few days earlier. So as I proceeded to walk around downtown New York, your method on how a woman should walk in a sensual way, something about the thighs kind of rubbing together, was foremost on my mind. This trip to the city was a new and unique experience for me. Suddenly, I had a fan club. Walking along, minding my own business, I had one shop owner walk out onto the sidewalk to comment on what a beautiful woman I was. One man said under his breath, now that's what I'm talking about, as he watched me walk away. I was making the most subtle changes to my normal walk, but the response was amazing. It was hysterical and so much fun. And at one point in the evening, I walked into a blues club and asked the young gal and the bouncer where I could find a ballroom dancing in the city. After chatting with them for a while, it turned out she was working in a ballroom dancing studio in Manhattan as a part-time job to learn the business, and was ecstatic that I'd been asked the question. They both commented on what an attractive lady I was and suggested that I try a couple of hot spots in the area. I'm not kidding. It was your book that made everyone so responsive that evening. Apparently, I was open, confident, and sensual. What a concept. It worked in the city, and it worked every time and every place I've applied your methods. The walking techniques have changed the way I think of myself when I'm walking. Let me rephrase that. I think of my body now while I'm walking. I feel my body moving, and I'm aware of it. Not like before, when I was just going from point A to point B and walking like a businesswoman on a run. Now, it's a feminine experience, and it's fun. Thank you for your book and your DVD series, Sunny. So, I really think that this was so appreciative to me when she did this, because this is exactly what I want for women, is to really be able to get in touch with the fullness of their body. And the moment they go there, tapping into their feminine energy doesn't become this big ordeal that you need to think about and meditate over. It's boom, right in the moment. Change your walk, change your stance, lean back, breathe. How often do we do that in our day? We can lean back in our chair. We can lean back when we're standing around listening to some customers or clients, and you instantly have a more feminine, open appeal to you, which might actually create something more magnetic. So that's what's cool about all of this. So now we did the eye contact. We're going to go to the next one, which is the S, the stance. All right. So the stance, I'm going to talk you through it, and then actually, Marnie, I'm going to stand you up, and I'm going to actually make you do some of the things I'm talking about so that you can physically feel this. And so the next time you go on a photo shoot, you have a little bit extra edge, okay? So I'm going to start with...
I totally need that.
Yay! So let me just go into my little thing about explaining what you need to be aware of when you're doing your stance. And then after, we're going to try it on you, all right? So the stance here is really directly... Okay, standing in general, or good posture, is really important, and it demonstrates health and vitality and confidence. And the proper alignment of the spine really helps prevent pain and stresses in the body and its organs. And so it's important to have a good posture properly aligned. And I'm sharing these facts with you to really iterate, I should say, the importance of good posture. Because when you lead a very physically active life and healthy lifestyle, putting demands on your body through sports, through dancing, through working, even slouching sometimes because you're always on the computer, can have a bad effect on the spine. So therefore, a lot of regular exercise and knowing how to use your shoulder blades to really create a strong, straight alignment in the spine is necessary. And I'm sharing this with you because I've had some people, specifically physical therapists, that'll, say things like, what you're asking women to do is not proper posture. And you're right. Okay, it's not proper posture, but neither is sitting on the computer all day. That's bad for your body. So that's why you need to be able to do your physical exercises, your stretching, all these other things to realign your body from, the stresses of the day. And sitting down all day is actually a stress. It's not good for your body. It's creating people that are hunchback. So yes, the proper alignment isn't what I'm about to show you, but it doesn't really matter. The idea is we're doing this to create a more feminine, sensuous look. Then you do your exercise and everything else to keep your body always healthy and in alignment. Just wanted to say that because I've had a few people mention that to me. So what's important when it comes to standing and looking feminine, you always want to create an angle and a curve with your body. Those are the two things you want to remember. Angles and curves are more interesting because they create a sort of more three-dimensional picture to you. It's not so flat. It's not so masculine. There's a more interesting flow to you. And you can see it very clearly here with these two business women, right? This woman, she's standing straight, flat. Her legs are apart, the thing I'm not as crazy about, but sometimes you need to stand with your legs apart. That's okay. But ultimately, she's very flat, and she's not creating an angle or a curve. The woman to the right, it's already a little bit better because, one, she's at an angle. So you notice that the side, having a slight side view, looks better than straight on. Two, you do see a little bit of a curve because she's presenting her right hip a little bit more. If she would have actually settled back into the right hip by bending the left knee and keeping the right knee straight, we would have seen a bigger curve there while she's sitting. And and that's it. Even if her arms are crossed, that's okay. Apparently, I found this really interesting when I was looking for images and I typed in confident women. Every woman is in a business suit with her arms crossed. I thought that was really interesting, how that's what a confident woman means. So, not necessarily in my book, but regardless, you don't need to have your arms crossed. If you do, that's okay. But ultimately, by being at an angle, it's already more interesting than when you're flat on. So that's the first thing. We want to create angles and curves. So when we look here at this stance, You'll see moi. I did a photo shoot recently, so mine turned out fun. I wish we were together. We could have had so much fun.
Yes, it did. I know. I know.
Now, if you look at the woman
Oh
on the
gosh.
on the left, it's not that bad. I mean, it's okay. She does have one knee bent and one knee straight, which instantly creates a curve here. Now, the problem here is with the knee pointing outward, guess what it exposes again? See? The inner part of the body there. And we don't want to show that. We want to create mystery. Hence, when you look at me, by bringing that knee in front of the other leg, we have a more hourglass feel compared to this woman. So you see that? It's a little bit just not as pretty, not as feminine. So I would have made her tweak and bring her knee in a little bit more. And then, you know, her arms are a little bit uncomfortable. She's kind of putting her thumb in the pocket. I'm not quite sure there, but ultimately for me, just rest it on your body. And the only reason I could do this more comfortably, you could see in my air that I'm leaning back. You can just sense that I'm on the back of my left leg. I'm sitting back there. My hip is out a little bit more here. My arm is covering a little bit, but I'm sitting back so that my arm can really rest on that hip comfortably. Good. And she's still a little forward. You know, there's this, like, again, there isn't an ease, a feeling to her, right? So, you know, so like Marnie, if you want to play, let's kind of do this. And anybody listening, if they want to try this, I want to sort of talk you through the feeling of, come into my playful pleasure bubble
Okay,
compared
I'm
to
into it.
an
And
awkwardness.
by the way, I should send you the pictures from my photo shoot. You can use them as the don'ts.
Mm, you're so cute. I don't want to do that.
I'm like, I literally, if only someone would have said to me, just do this, put your hands here. Okay, I'm
Okay.
standing up. Tell me what to
Good.
do.
You're standing up. So if anybody who's standing up, if you actually stand up with your feet hip distance apart, I just want you to feel the difference here. If you stand with your feet just hip distance apart, you press down on your shoulder blades and your arms are going to just naturally rest to your side. You know, it's great. I feel strong. I feel powerful, but I also feel very masculine and not necessarily inviting and feminine and soft and sexy. So to start doing that, you're going to take your right foot, Marnie, and you're going to put it on the heel of, you put your heel on the instep of the left foot.
Okay,
So we call that almost like third position ballet.
right?
Okay, so you're there. So now you've closed up your thighs, which is good. We have no space. But now if we stay in this position only, it's a little stiff. You know, I don't want to really look like a ballerina. I want
Right.
to create a curve. So by doing this, I'm already creating an angle. So one side, one leg's in front compared to the other. If I bend my right knee and keep my left leg straight, I settle into the back hip. Do you feel that?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Good. Now really sit into the heel of the left leg there that's behind you. So you feel that comfortable. So you're leaning back more. Good. And as soon
Okay.
as
Oh,
you
I'm
do
feeling it.
yeah. As soon as you do that, you know, still keep your shoulder blades down because you want to present your chest to your audience, whoever's looking at you, whether it's your cameraman or whether it's the men at the airport that are walking by or in a bar, whoever it may be. Good. And if you press your right knee in, you want to make sure, now I can't see you, but you really want to make sure that the right knee that's bent, it's not like that woman kind of pointing out in nowhere's land. It
Oh, right.
wants to come
Okay.
in more.
Okay.
Yeah, so that really gives that extra little curve and much more sexier, mysterious look to you. Good. And if you're, you know, if you were holding your purse, you can hold your purse on an arm and kind of touch it and play with it. And if not, just kind of touch your thighs and your elbows. Let them kind of lean onto your body near your hips, you know, and just
That feels so good. So if I do that, it feels like do I do the more leaning back, or because I feel like my hips go a little more forward? Am I doing
yeah,
it correctly? Yeah.
beautiful.
Okay.
Yay, you're already
Okay.
leaning back. If your hips are a little forward, you're already in that position because that will happen.
Oh, good. Oh, I feel sexy and sassy.
There you go. And then you know, you do a little head tilt, you know, just to
Yep.
be a little coy.
I'm doing it at the kitchen table, everyone.
Nice. So basically that's the idea of the stance. Cool. Now we're going to go into the next part, which is the last S, the self-touch, my absolute favorite. Oh, they're all my favorite, but self-touch. Self-touch is really soothing for me. You know, our skin is like the largest organ of our body, and it can really be very sensitive. So a touch can be relaxing, reassuring, soothing, you know. So it's really important that we're comfortable with touching ourselves. And now you know that you want to stay away from the hot zone. So you could see there from the slide that, you know, I caress my hair, I touch my clavicle bone in the middle, at the end there, and I kind of trace my way there. And when I do that, there's a playful, again, this playful, sassy, kind of coy, you know, almost innocent look to me, to because that's me, okay, in the pictures there, as compared to just kind of not knowing what to do. That touching really lightens up your energy. And as a dancer, this was really, really important to me. I have to share this story because this is when it really became an aha for me. There was a dance coach. He was watching my partner and I dance, and we had to present him our rumba. And rumba is the most sensuous dance of all the dances, and it's all about the woman. It's really the man is the rock, and he's constantly presenting her, and she's slithering around him, and it's all about her. Now, we started our rumba. He puts on the music, and literally, probably 10 to 15 seconds in, he stops the music and walks right up to me, and he tells me, "Patty, do you love yourself?" And there was a pause. And he says, "Because a woman who loves herself, loves the way she feels, loves the way she moves, and enjoys touching herself." He said, "You look detached, you look disconnected." He said, "Your arms are flailing all over the place. A man wants to stay away from you, not drawn and become closer to you." And that was huge for me because it completely changed the way I dance and then the way I walk through life. Because I understood that my hands, they're like antenna, and they're gathering information that's going to be imprinted in my mind and anybody who's looking. And it was amazing because this coach, who's a man, started to show me what he wanted me to do. And in an instant, he turned into a woman. Like it was, wow, that's just so good. And it literally was, you know, even though I'm going to bring my arm out, it was how I traced my body. It wasn't just going to go out. It was going to touch my outer thigh, the arch of my lower back, the side of my body. And my body started to move differently just because I'm reacting to my own touch. I would feel that muscular tension of my hand caressing my body, that my body reacted differently. And a woman that's comfortable with touching herself is a woman that's able to express her satisfaction with her body and the pleasure she's, you know, ready to receive and willing to give. So touch is huge. And so Marnie, like for example, even when you're in that stance before, if you felt like kind of gently caressing and touching your neck and holding that moment, or, you know, touching your opposite shoulder, just really loving how you feel, you know, and you should do that just for fun. Just, you know, put some music on and you know, and just stand there and caress different parts of your body and sway to it. And your sassy self will start to wake up, and you should have a cameraman just slowly capturing those moments, and you'll see how, oh, like in a moment you're going to go like, wow, there I am, that seductive feminine woman. She was just hiding under this stiff body and not knowing what to do with it. So self-touch is
Was.
huge. You got it?
That's great. Yep, I'm
You
coming to
got some
Canada for
homework
my
there,
next photo
Marnie.
shoot. Yeah.
And so self-touch is great. So my last case study that I really want to share with you, this is one of my favorite absolute stories. And I know we're really getting close with time, but I really want to show this, and then I'm going to get to explaining my DVD set and what it has to offer. We have, her name is Karen. She's from Ireland. She said, "Hi, Patty. I just got to share this with you because your DVDs have literally changed my life. A month ago, I truly believed at 53, menopausal, a little overweight, that I was one of those women of a certain age who became invisible, and my confidence and self-esteem were not in a good place. Frankly, I didn't know how to change myself or my life. I was so stuck and downhearted. I came across your DVD clips on YouTube and started to play. And I mean really play with your ideas. And something miraculous happened. I began to find myself. When you're open to learning, that teacher will come. Straight away, I ordered your extraordinary DVD set and I began to practice, practice, and practice. The mental and emotional changes I've experienced so far as I begin to connect with my body, my heart, and my unique and glorious sensuality have given me a joy for life, a deep warmth and openness when talking to men. And not just men, everyone. I've charmed the postman, my boss, male colleagues who've ignored me for years now seek me out. I was even asked on a date by a tall, dark, handsome 22-year-old guy. But this is so much more than being a superficial ego trip for me. It's truly about transformation, about coming home to myself. It's about not being afraid to be seen, whatever my age or size, because sensuality is the gift I've awoken in myself. And men are drawn to the light that shines from a woman who is in touch with herself. They simply can't help it. When I know how to truly understand my feminine sensuality, I feel complete and can move forward in my life with love, fun, playfulness, and a healthy irreverence for all the games we play as men and women. I feel confident to know my own body, make decisions, and find boundaries, and my mind has followed my body. I tell you, wonderful Patty, I'm only on DVD number 2, and I would be thrilled if you wanted to share my delight with other members because I'm so happy I've started my sensual journey. Love and gratitude, Karen. So this was really got every time I read it, it really gets to me because she really gets it. She really gets the fact that as much as it might be about, attracting men, it's really about the transformation that happened to her, that she really fell back in love with herself. She got in touch with her sensuality and her feminine side and then can now tap into this on a regular basis. She has the tool to get her, to get it back on her game, to gain her confidence back in a natural way that's sort of effortless. And that's what I love about all of this. So yeah, I wanted to at least end with that part before we go on to our next, our question period. So I know we're kind of we're actually at 10 o'clock, and if you're okay with this, Marnie, can we just see if there's any questions from people? Would that be okay if we go on a little further?
Oh yeah, that's definitely a-okay with me. 'Cause I think it's a
Okay,
great
cool.
opportunity. I'm telling you, this stuff works, people.
Okay, good. Randy, is there anybody there, or do we just keep going?
We have a few questions, Patty. Maybe you want to just
Okay,
take a couple of them. If anybody
sure.
else does have any more questions, then please type them into the question box and we'll try to go through as many as we can in the next few minutes. We have one question from Maya. She asks, I noticed catwalk in the upsack place and smile at the same time affects in a positive way. They crave to approach me. What else can you advise to attract them?
Can you repeat the beginning of that question? I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite reading it properly, but I'm trying to read what's written here. I noticed a catwalk in the
Cat.
Upsack place. Do you know
Oh,
what that
okay.
is? Okay.
So maybe she means the model catwalk, like how when people walk on the catwalk. Is that what
I
it
think
is?
it is. Maya, if you're still online, feel free to add another question here. Maybe I'm just not quite understanding what you're trying to say, but I believe she's trying to ask what else can you
About
advise so that you can
right,
attract
about
a people as well.
right, right. So let me just kind of go with what I think she's asking because now I understand what she means. I think I do. There is this whole thing. I mean, it's harder to show a walk through pictures, but something about the way you walk. I don't believe in the model catwalk thing where women sort of overcross. We know when they're walking, they're putting one foot across the other. That's too much. That's really for the catwalk. It's not for everyday life. And what I can tell you is this: there's several things to a walk, but one of the biggest, most important things you can do to start changing it is if you look at most people in their everyday life, we tend to walk pitched forward, where the energy and the movement is coming from our head and our chest. And if we actually, once again, lean back and actually move as if someone had a string at your belly button and was pulling the string out of your belly button so that your hips are leading and not your chest and your head. So now it feels like you're a little bit more back weighted and you're moving from your center. We do this a lot when we dance. We use our centers to move to move our bodies, not our upper body, because we put too much stress on the front part of our foot, and we dance with tension. And we walk with too much tension. So if you actually lean back and move as if your hips are leading the way, not necessarily sticking them out forward, but just energetically, subtly moving as if there's a string that's coming out of your stomach. I like to use that sort of image where if you can feel a string that's pulling out of your belly button and someone's just pulling you along to move forward. So you feel the wind against your lower back that's moving you forward and not the wind against your upper body. So that's really important when you're walking, is that you're moving from your hips, leading with your hips. And the other thing is, you don't want to cross your legs, but you don't want to walk with your legs apart. Because when men walk with their legs apart, I actually teach men to do that, because when they walk with their legs apart, it's a reason. It's to show their jewels. It's to show what they're made of. I teach them that. I said, walk with your legs a little bit more wider. Let the woman know that you're a strong man that's sturdy, that every step he takes is powerful, and that you're leading from your hips, but you're showing what you got. Unlike us, we don't want to do that. So you do want to feel a slight inner thigh rubbing, very slight. But again, if you actually pay attention to how people walk, you'll notice that they tend to walk with their legs apart, which is too far, specifically women, I'm saying, and pitched forward. Those are the two main things that I'm always correcting.
Fantastic. I think you've got it. Maya put a couple more comments in. I think that's what she was after as well, just the walking. So I think you've got that.
Cool.
I got another question here from Jane, who asks, what kind of conversations are men really looking for on dates? Is it okay to stick to more fun or flirty topics, or do I need to be worried about impressing him with my brain in order to get a second date?
That's a really cool question. So I'm going to talk to you a little about non-verbally, things that I'm aware of when I'm on dates. And then Marnie, if you want to hop in and maybe you can share some thoughts also. But I don't think that a date needs to be some sort of intellectual foreplay in the sense where you really need to, it's fun to be intellectually alert, but it's not, I don't think you need to be concerned with what you're saying, but more on how you're saying, how you're speaking. And if you actually, when you're on a date, if you actually do that lean back, so I'm going to actually do this right now. I'm going to lean back in my chair. I'm going to breathe from my diaphragm, lean back. And then I speak from this space where my voice is now more passive and not so active. Passive voice is much more a motivational voice. So here I am being forward and trying to motivate you. It's really important when you're walking that you do this, that, and the other thing. But now I can lean back and say, when you're walking, it's really important that you think about gently rubbing your inner thighs, not too much crossing. So I'm speaking this way on purpose to kind of show you the difference between a passive voice and an active voice. And sometimes we need an active voice to motivate people, and a passive voice is to create rapport more. So you'll see it's from a deeper part of the throat, and you're breathing more from the diaphragm. So just be aware of the intonation in your voice, and it'll be easier if you breathe slower and more deeply, and if you lean back, you'll naturally go into a more passive style or tone, which sounds a little bit more like you just got out of bed, feeling that everything is really cool. You'll sound more poetic instead of like a reporter where you're just throwing out facts. So that's what I suggest when it comes to voice. If you want to say anything more specific, Marnie, on conversations, I don't know if you have anything specific to say.
Yeah, I think that you do want to be flirty and fun and playful and talk about what's fun for you, what's interesting. So many people on dates end up talking about what do you do in the world, interpret it as what is your vocation, and an open interpretation of that is what do you do? Well, I do reading, I do dancing, I do, there's so many other things. And when you're in a positive, excited state about those things, it is really welcoming and engaging. So not that you don't want to talk about work, but talk about the other things that you include in your life.
Awesome. So great. Is there any other questions, or do we keep moving there, Randy?
We got a couple more questions. Okay. Please keep them coming if anybody else has more. We have another question from Liz, who asks, do you have any tips for walking in high heels for those of us who don't walk in heels very often?
Yeah, I know those darn heels.
I love that question.
I know. I love heels, and the biggest reason I love them is because you get an instant arch of the lower back and a booty lift. So it's like you need to learn how to walk in those. I mean, I'm used to it because I dance in them all the time, so I'm very aware of how to put any kind of shoe on, and I'm good with it. But one of the reasons, I'll try not to get overly technical, but you got to graduate to the higher heel. So one, you want to make sure that your heel actually holds your foot properly. You have no idea how many times I'll see a woman in a pair of shoes and I can see she's wobbling, and it's not necessarily even because of the height of the shoe, but because the shoe is not fitting her foot properly. And so she's not stable. So it's really important just finding the right shoe that fits you, and take the time to do that, because even though a shoe might look great, if your foot's not comfortable in it, it's going to show. So comfort is important, and it's not about the height per se, but the comfort. I mean, the height to a certain degree until you get used to it. The other thing you really want to be aware of when you're walking is that, okay, energetically, for us dancers to really be completely balanced when we move from one foot to the next, is we keep our weight between our legs. We don't throw our weight out past our legs. So let me say, how can I explain this to you? If I take a step and I'm actually not trying, you can all try this. If you actually stand with your legs apart, it's more stable because your legs are wider apart. Now I want you to think about your inner thigh muscles, actually contracting your inner thigh muscles and bring your legs closer together while being aware of your inner thigh muscles contracting them. I don't know if you're trying this, Marnie, but just letting you, just to see if you can actually think about your inner thigh muscles. And when you do this, good. Now I want you to sort of, lean back in your stance while being aware of your inner thigh muscles, because it condenses your energy. And now as you walk one step over the other in your heel, you want to make sure that you just keep your weight and your energy in that area closest to the spine. And I made you contract your inner thigh muscles just so that you're aware that when you let go of your muscles and you just let it go, your body is not in good muscular tension. And for us to be balanced, we need our muscles to be active and activated. And we use sometimes the inner thigh muscles. We call it inner thigh awareness in dancing a lot, especially for women, because it's where our energy really needs to be able to do all these twists and turns while keeping our legs together and being completely balanced. So just be aware that you want to condense your energy closer to your spine. And you want to be able to act, and by doing that, and just really put tension in your body so that when you take one step in a heel, you feel your butt working a bit. The next step, you feel your glute muscle working. It's sort of the extra layer of walking. There's the fact that you want to move from your lower body and not from your upper body, and then kind of feel your inner thighs, the inner thigh awareness thing. But with every step that you take, if you actually are aware of your butt muscles, your back, there's a stability and strength to what's going on behind you, your back, your shoulder blades, your buttocks. There's something incredibly stabilizing about that. And if you let that go, your center lets go, your abdomen, your stomach, all the muscles need to be kind of working and not contracted in a tense way, in an alert, aware way, so that when you put yourself on a heel, it's not a big deal. Oh, that rhymed. But you need to just have sort of, we call it good muscular tension, inner thigh awareness. And the muscular tension is really from the bum, the back, all of that, so that it's not just about the front. It's really about what's going on behind you. Heels are sturdier than we think. I think women are so worried about putting weight on the entire foot, especially the back part of the foot, that we're worried we're going to break them. And then we're again, too pitched forward, especially a heel already pitches us forward. It naturally tells you to lean forward when you put on a heel. So you have to really make sure your weight is on the heel of the foot, because it's telling you to push forward, and you've got to counter that. Does that make sense? You have to lean back that much more. I hope that helped.
That helped me.
Good.
That's great.
Okay, maybe we'll just take one last question, Patty. I think there's a few more, but just for time, we'll take one more. This one's a little bit longer, but let me just read it.
Sure.
As a woman who is not used to receiving a lot of attention, this is from Regina. As a
Mm-hmm.
woman who's not used to receiving a lot of attention from men, how do I maintain the sensuality stance once a man approaches me after he has noticed my sensuality stance? The problem I have is that I tend to be shy. So when I do the stance and then attract a man, I then become nervous and lose all my stance and attraction. How do I keep it together even when I get nervous?
Wow, that's a great situation there in the sense that, it's great they're actually coming towards you, so the stance is working. Now, I felt that way too when I first started doing my girlfriend, even when she had done this at the bar, suddenly like she had this guy really close and right up to her. She goes, "Oh my God, wow, he's right in my intimate space." um, you have to I would really say just breathe through it. You're getting the attention you want, which is great. So I want you to really get into the diaphragm breathing. I want you, I instinctually, when even I'm a little bit uncomfortable, I go there whether when I'm comfortable and when I'm a little uncomfortable, not when I'm at that in between. I like to touch myself to again feel grounded, or touch the bar, or touch the chair, touch my scarf. Like I use my accessories all the time. I love wearing scarves around my neck. And so when I'm feeling a little bit sort of awkward or uneasy, I'll gently just play with my scarf and caress it, not nervously, not fidgeting, just to kind of help me stay present with me instead of just sort of staying there and not moving. Quite the contrary. You don't want to stiffen up. So use your accessories somehow, whether it's your purse or your necklace, a scarf, like I said, to just kind of gently touch it and caress yourself, just to remind yourself to keep breathing and to be at ease in that situation. And I know when I do that, I ground myself. So you might want to try that, Regina, because I know that helps me a lot. Just gently playing with an accessory, not in a fidgety way, just in a wonderful way. And you might even get a little closer because that's what kind of happens sometimes. But I'm just saying more for you not to stiffen up, because that's where we'll go sometimes when we're uncomfortable. Kind of go, oh no, it's happening. Shit, what do I do? Oof, lean back, breathe slowly, and touch something. And I touch an accessory, the tendency. Cool. Randy?
All right, I think at this point, why don't you continue on, because I think we're
Where's Randy?
running on a little bit later.
Okay, cool. So that's good. All right. So now we're going on to my last little quote that I always love to share. It's "Cultivate your curves. They may be dangerous, but they won't be avoided," by Mae West. For me, this quote really reminds me to be a bright beacon for the world to see, to stand out, to move and act like a feminine woman that you are, and to really be playful and flirtatious with life, not just with men, because that kind of energy is contagious and really people want to be around it. So, since we're at the end, I really want to let everybody know of a couple of wonderful bonuses offers that we're going to have for your tribe, Marnie, that I did specifically for them.
I
And
appreciate it.
yes, and the first one is this. I'm giving everybody that registered for the webinar here a free bonus, which is a free teleclass that I gave where I answered some questions that women had on femininity and feeling sensual. And and I shared stuff on, how to be feminine at the workplace, the character traits that men seem to be attracted to, how to flirt on dates, all this fun stuff that we've been doing. So if they actually go to sensualitysecrets.com/attitude, they'll get the audio and a PDF file transcript of the interview. So that's for free for your tribe. So
Oh
everybody
my
who,
gosh,
yes,
that's amazing, and I
that
don't know why anyone would not do it because
well, they're getting it first of all just for registering,
that's
but
good.
now we have the DVD, the 16 Seconds DVD set that I've been talking about throughout the call. I really want to make sure here that you know, I understand that I've given a lot of information today, and just knowing this stuff really isn't enough. And if you really want help, you need to be able to implement things before you can really feel the benefits of them. And I'm here because you ladies have asked me to kind of help you, and I would like to really be able to build the gap between the information and the implementation. And that's why, a perfect complement to this webinar is the DVD set, and we're always looking for ways to feel better, to enhance our mind, our body, and our spirit. And when you live your life in a way that causes you to feel a ton of pleasure, this energy is felt by others, and you naturally kind of pay forward just because of your being, because it means you're leading a more purposeful, successful, feminine life. And those positive emotions that we get, we're in this wonderful state. That's the reward of life. That's what it's available in our body. Those positive emotions are there to tap into at any time. And your body teaches your mind how to feel better. So in those places and in those times when you're insecure or depressed, or you're just not into it, you're able now, with the DVD set, you'll be able to have the tools to actually step into a place where, you ignite emotion because of your physical expression. And all of this is going to help you feel the more feminine, sensual you, and that more playful you that you really want to be able to communicate to the world. Because no matter what, we're always communicating something about ourselves and how we feel. And it becomes your choice on how do you want people to perceive you, because we're going to judge you no matter what. It is what it is. So do you want to be more in control of that and become this big bright beacon, and let your feminine spirit kind of come out and allow it to show and to radiate? So, I would love for women to be in a position where when they're like this, that they have tons of men to choose from instead of just the one person, or that they feel like there's a shortage or there's a lack. There isn't. There's a ton of them out there, but they need to see you. And with this DVD set, it's going to help you get in those moments where you'll be able to visually see me take you through the walk, through the stances, how to touch yourself. I have things on flirting at the dinner table, how to slowly dance in a way that's irresistible. So even when you're at a bar and the music is really loud and going fast, how do you move so that you create this kind of sensual bubble, if you will, There's a total of 5 DVDs, the first one being kind of like a warm-up, and followed by all the flirting stuff that we've been talking and more with the visual aid. And the last one, I have 3 guests that share their thoughts on first impression. Dr. Amir Sabangi, who's great, he gives a whole talk on first impressions. Lisa talks about conversations with your vagina. And the last one, Verid, talks about the art of stripping. So for, those special nights that you just want to kind of be a little bit more seductive through stripping, she shows you how to do that also. So it's really, really important to be able to use this. And here's that special bonus offer just for your tribe. I've never, ever done this before. It's the first time I'm doing the webinar, and I wanted to be so thankful to you and to everybody listening that the first 20 people that actually buy the Sexy in Seconds DVD kit, they get a free 30-minute Skype assessment with me.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So here's the thing. This is unscripted and unplanned. I kid you not, people. I coach people on the internal game and the mindset. When they go out there, the questions I get are, how can I get men to notice me? How can I get them to approach me so I can stay in my feminine? And I'm telling you, all I do, I refer my clients to Patty's material. So seriously, take advantage of this opportunity. Plus, she has never offered this assessment.
Never.
So I think I want to get one. This is just, I'm so excited. So I'm so blessed that you are doing this to help my people really get that love. They're doing all the work on the mindset. This is equally as important. So blessings to you, Patty.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's really a way to thank you because you've always been good to me, and I love everything that you're doing, this whole dating with dignity, everything that you're about. I think you're an amazing person, and I want to share part of what I have to do, and there's nothing better than being able to see someone on Skype and say, okay, do this, do that. There's nothing more valuable than one-on-one coaching. It's the fastest way to really tweaking and getting the best results. So for those first 20 people that do buy the DVD set, I will offer this. All they need to do, they'll see the link there on the webinar. It's sensualitysecrets.com/Marnie. Really important that you do /Marnie. And from there, the first 20 people will actually get a free 30-minute consultation with me. So that's pretty much it, the end of it for me. I do hope to see the first 20 people. I'm really excited about that. I want to thank you, Marnie, specifically for offering me this opportunity. You're a wonderful human being and a sensuous, sassy woman, and you can call me anytime, and I'm going to give you my personal assessment and get you doing the next photo shoot with some really hot, and we can do the before and after. This is
That's
me
what we'll
before,
do.
Patty, and this is me after the pictures, okay? How's that?
Oh, that sounds like a good plan. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here and doing this for Dating with Dignity and the people we serve.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Night, Patty. Bye-bye, guys.